We're live.
Aloha snack bar, everyone. It's the one, the only, the dynamic duo, the majestic ape, and the master of the flux capacitor, CJ. We are here this morning for another morning edition of Mornings with V and CJ. You can check us out on roguemoney.net. Follow us on Twitter at the Rogue Money. Check us out on Facebook at Rogue Money, as well as check out our podcast on iTunes. If you have the Apple podcasting app, you can find us there. Also on the Google Play Music, we're over there as well. You can download us on that, as well as on Pocket Cast, as we are continuing to expand. If you have an iOS device, you can also find us on the News app, the Apple News app. We're there. I think we're practically the only alt site that's on the Apple News app, which is awesome. So check us out over there, and soon we're going to be on Google News as well. With that being said, check out our sponsors, myfreedomnow.us. Are you losing your lunch? Are you losing your mind? Are you thinking about taking your life?
Don't be a bankster.
Don't be a bankster. Are you thinking about jumping to your death from a 50-story building? Don't do it, because you think you're stressed out because of debt. You got no way out. You got bill collectors knocking on your door, threatening to take your kid and hold him as ransom. Before you do any of that such nonsense, please contact the guys at myfreedomnow.us and let these guys kick the banksters in the nuts for you. These guys can wipe out any sort of debt you got, collections agencies, late payments, bankruptcies, judgments, liens, whatever the heck is going on with you. Let these guys take care of it, even if you need your credit tweaked so you can get yourself a house or refinance or get yourself a new car. Check out myfreedomnow.us and book a call. Heck, I might even call you. With that being said, CJ, what's crack-a-lackin'?
I just have to ask you, whenever people call you or when you call people back, do you first start the conversation with Aloha Snack Bar?
Sometimes.
just get the call going in the right direction, right?
Well, they'll know who it is. I open up Aloha, or as soon as they hear my voice, they just know who it is.
Right, exactly. You know what? I'm doing great. I don't know what it is about this magical day of Friday. Like when it comes around, you start to feel a little bit more energy coming into you. You start to focus about plans for the weekend and getting fired up. So I am fired up. It was fun yesterday. It was absolutely hilarious watching the Democrats come out and try to troll with this whole session thing, and he spoke to the Russians, and then you have some representatives.
Spoke to the Russians.
I've never spoke to the Russians, and then less than a few seconds later, somebody's research to say, "Oh, well, here's a picture of you meeting with the Russians."
Look, I'm gonna confess, the only Russian that me and CJ has ever spoken to is James, a Russian analyst, and he's not Russian. But he's the closest thing to a Russian we've ever spoken to, on full disclosure.
And we spoke to him during the election cycle too.
Oh, yes, we did. We did speak to him.
I mean, did he influence our vote? I mean, I feel guilty now.
I'm questioning my existence at this point. He might have. I don't know what he's done. Probably had he got me into vodka. I mean,
Yeah, the Russian vodkas.
Oh my God! I mean, he told me about Russian Standard and Stolyavich, and God, it's on, bro.
It is on. It is on. Yeah. So just to kick off the show, there's some great articles up at roguemoney.net. So make sure you check those out. Bankster Slayer's got one hitting hard called The Ides of March, where she breaks down a lot of things that are coming into play. March 15th, we got the debt ceiling. We've got lots of other turmoils, different things happening. So it'll be interesting there. And then, of course, James, the Russian analyst, has broke out a story we're going to talk about this morning as well, as regarding the Battle of Iraq and what's happening in the Middle East.
Oh, yeah, the situation, Battle of Iraq, and it's going to be pretty crazy over there, man. So let's get it going, bro.
Let's do it. So it looks like obviously what the U.S. couldn't do under Obama and his failed administration for several years in regards to Syria. Obviously we know that they were arming and funding the quote unquote moderate rebels.
See, Obama's a community planner, bro. That's why it took him this long. But go ahead.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're finding out now that here the Syrian army has liberated the ancient city of Palmyra from the ISIS militants. And this is coming to us from the Russian insider. So, now we're at the cusp of Syria taking their country back, which is absolutely wonderful. You're not going to see Russia, and they may put a base there at the coast. Who knows? But who cares? They have the right to do that if they want to. But now we're seeing finally Syria being liberated.
Absolutely, man. And you know what? They've taken Palmyra in a day. They've beaten the snot out of USIS. USIS was sent packing, and it happens, And there's a lot of confusion right now. There's a lot of things happening in the world. People are saying, is what the hell is Trump doing? Has he been neutered? I know he wants to engage with the Russians. Now they're talking about sending U.S. troops to Syria and having safe zones. Is Syria going to get carved up, or part of the country goes to the Turks, part of the country goes to some U.S. held puppets via the Kurds, part of it goes to Syria? What the heck's going on with the country? This, that, and the other. These are the things that are being deliberated, and people are worried about. Again, the whole specter, the sword of Damocles called World War III, hanging in the balance. This, that, and the other. I think people are saying, is the swamp draining done? I think this is just the beginning. I think it's too early to tell. Like I said, guys, in 3 to 6 months, if we don't see any major stuff, then you know what? Then we know that there's some issues here. There's some wheels and tires that are spinning in the mud. But in terms of what's happening in Russia, in terms of what U.S. involvement can do, there's not a damn thing. Okay, let's get away from all the rhetoric. There ain't a damn thing the U.S. could do militarily in the Middle East. Not a damn thing. Because, people are talking about Russian involvement in Syria, but they're also missing that out in the outskirts, the dragon is stalking. Out in the shadows, the dragon is lurking. And that dragon happens to be the Chinese. And if you don't think the Chinese has a pretty impressive navy, if you don't think, there's a lot of people saying, the Chinese military, they're wasting so much time, not effectively training. They're, wasting so much time on indoctrination, this, that, and the other. Yes, the old Chinese military. The new one, they're pretty training a lot. They're pretty hardcore on their training nowadays. A lot of things going on. Again, there's, I think there's a lot of rhetoric on both sides, and I think people don't need to be confused by this fog of war that's going on, CJ. We're gonna sit and wait. Let's see what happens in 3 to 6 months in Syria. But as of now, I'd say 90% of Syria, maybe even 95% of Syria is liberated, bro.
Yeah, it's a great thing. Again, and I hate to say even use the word liberated. I want to say returned and kicked out the bad guys is more like it. There was no civil war there. It's just a matter of returning to the powers who, need to be. And wrong or right, what's happening there in terms of, and again, it was basically a U.S. operation there to help the Saudis. And again, we've covered that numerous times, so I'm not going to go into those details.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely right. But anyway, who needs dollars, man? I mean, the globalists are doing everything they can in Syria because Syria is a springboard to what is occurring globally. Syria is a springboard to, what is happening in the Middle East and the larger play with the petrodollar. But who needs the dollar, CJ, right?
Yeah, who needs the dollar when you can mine and obtain your own gold? And now we're seeing here that Russia, which they always have been, and China are now dominating the global gold production.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Russia has remained the world's third largest gold producer. Now here you have U.S. sanctions, and the U.S. media will tell you that the ruble is collapsing and the Russian economy is just. So think of everything that they've endured the past several years with the oil price rigging, to affect their economy, the sanctions and everything. And here they coming out smelling like a rose, V, through all this. And on top of that, probably even better, now they're mining gold. They're looking at becoming, they are, with China, the largest producer. So who needs paper currency?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Who needs it? Who needs paper currency? Because, this is the biggest sign. Look, we could be so myopic. Okay, we could be so myopic and just, think it, and this is the problem with the West. We are so myopic. We look at everything from the inside out from a Western point of view. Okay. We think that the rest of the world behaves like us, has our type of monetary system, that, the rest of the world thinks that our monetary system or the way we do things is absolute sanity and correct and this, that, and the other. But what has occurred in the last several decades is this: we have exchanged physical economies all throughout the Western world in exchange for paper economies. the wealth of a country or the factory production of the Western world moved from the factories and manufacturing centers all throughout the Western world into the financial centers throughout the Western world. So we moved from, actually making things and machines and all these wonderful products and goods and wares, and we switched to manufacturing paper. And if you look at the biggest, quote unquote, biggest, and I use that word euphemistically, Western economies, okay, they're the ones that are, full throttle Keynesian central banking. They're the ones full throttle financial services. That is the biggest part of our our economy. It's fake. That's why people say, well, we're the biggest economy in the world. We are a $16 trillion economy. No, we're not. 50% of our GDP numbers is a joke, maybe even more. Because most of our GDP numbers is again, reshuffled debt. So when somebody says, oh, we're a 16 trillion, we're a 12 trillion, we're an $11 trillion economy, you can cut that number by 50 to 60%. That's the real numbers. This is a joke. Okay, look, not only are we a country in debt of 20 trillion, not counting entitlements. You count entitlements, we're closer to $100 trillion. Okay, in other words, we've superseded the Japanese in a lot of regards. Okay, number one. Number two, you look at the consumer debt. You see, Japan is a basket case because they have a ridiculous, quantitative easing policy that is, on steroids. But their population still is a population of savers. Compare that to our population, CJ, where you have $12.8 trillion in consumer debt. How's this going to work out for us? Nothing. Okay, it's going to be an ending in disaster. Now, this is why, China and Russia, they understand this, and they're encouraging their people, their citizenry, to buy gold. Nationalism and gold is the greatest protection against globalism and paper. CJ.
Yeah, no, I was drinking my water, V.
Oh, sorry, dude.
No, it's all good. No, I wholeheartedly agree with you, and if you don't see what's happening, as far as the credit market, starting to tighten up a little bit, you have the Fed that's probably going to be, raising rates here, and again, it's just going to be a stumbling block for us to get through. But China and Russia and the precious metals, we had yesterday for the first time Bitcoin and gold went par with each other. Yeah, so just amazing things happening right now, V.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely correct. And the other thing that's happening is the you look at what's happening in Germany, bro. Okay. That's big there too, CJ.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You're talking about, coming up on a huge, election and everything that's happening there. And it's going to be amazing to see that, German, and we've covered this in terms of, their economy and the, how they've been pivoting, where now I think their main exporters now with China. So a lot of things changing in Germany, V.
Absolutely, man. And here's the thing. This is why it's important. Historically, the elites have always done everything they can to keep Germany and Russia separate. There's a lot of ways that Germans and Germany and Russia gets along. Actually, they fit quite nicely. Okay, World War I was fought over that. World War II ensured that. And what's happening since during the Cold War, even till today, they're doing the same thing. They're trying to keep Germany and Russia separate. Okay, one of the ways you keep Germany down is to constantly guilt them into their historical guilt of the Nazis and the Holocaust, which were all atrocities, guaranteed. That was several decades ago. So any modern German that has any sort of pride for the fact that he's being German, that I love being German, I'm a German and I'm proud of it, or says anything that is, there's an automatic knee-jerk reaction by the far left in Germany to ostracize and to cut down those individuals as if they were Nazis. So if you're a nationalist, or you love Germany, you're a national, you have a spirit of nationalism in your own country in Germany, you're automatically considered a Nazi. And they do this as a psychological ruse in order to ever prevent Germany from rising again. Okay? Because even though the Berlin Wall fell with the collapse of the Soviet Union, there are still walls that are built mentally around the German population. That's why, CJ, you could have German politicians coming out and saying, oh, You know, it's a good thing we have these refugees coming in, because in another 20 to 30 years, there'll thankfully be less Germans in this world. Like, they hate their existence. You can go on YouTube and find video clip after video clip after video clip of German politicians jubilee with enthusiasm and passion, speaking about how horrible Germany is, how horrible Germans are. And thank God in another 20 to 50 years, Germans will probably be the minority population, and they can't wait for Germans to go extinct. I mean, think of this brainwashing, this self-hatred. It's unbelievable, CJ, and it's done for a reason. And the left has been getting away with it, but nationalism is starting to rise. And they're trying to take this nationalistic rise in Germany and equate that with Nazism, because they like to say, because here's the mental trick that the far left does, They say, nationalism is rising. That means it's the far right and the fascist Nazis. Well, the Nazis weren't the far right, you morons. Nazis were actually the far left. There's nothing far right about Hitler. He's the extreme epitome and the personification of the far left. I know you leftists don't like that. You leftists don't like the fact either that Stalin is the full symptomatic end to your left-wing policies. And you guys don't like that. But that's just the truth. That's just the reality. And most of you far leftists don't like truth, don't like reality, and you're allergic to math, so it doesn't help you.
And that's a great call, V, in terms of that. And they will try to paint that narrative very easily once it comes time, and because they understand that Germany is the stumbling block. Germany is going to be the next domino to fall that will end up with the demise of the EU. The writing's on the wall. It's there. And nationalism across, whether you're talking, Greece or France, and now Germany, you can't stop it. It's happening. There's only so much that people will take as far as, violence in terms of, changing their entire cultures. Imagine if that happened here in the US at the pace that it has happened in Germany, the people would rise. And they're exactly what you said. They're going to paint this at either returning to their historic past and all that. That's bullcrap. And that's what the US media will try telling you.
Absolutely, man. They're going to try and swing, because again, they play on people's perceptions. They play on people's stereotypes. So you talk to most Americans, especially the older generation, they have a negative view of Russia. They have a negative view of a nationalistic Germany. They think a liberal Germany is good for them. A far left-wing Germany is good. No, a far left-wing Germany is a useful pud. Okay, it's a useful, toy in the hands of the globalists. A nationalistic Germany is something that could actually benefit global economics, benefit in trade. And it's eventually going to happen. You cannot stop this swing of economics. Andrew Breitbart said that, politics is downstream from culture. And he's absolutely right. But you know what? But culture and politics is downstream from economics. How do you like that, CJ?
Nice.
Like I said this all the time. Economics runs everything. It runs every facet of human interaction, human culture. It runs people don't realize how deep economics is. Okay, religion, organized. I said this so many times. Organized religion is economics applied to politics. So culture and politics is downstream to economics. Think about that. There's a lot of deep thought in that statement. I'm going to leave that for the listeners to go home and think. Write that down and think about it.
Good call. Good call.
The next thing, man, we got the criminal banking cartel, bro. What's going on over there?
It's just amazing. You'll see where, a small business, they'll close up shop, or, they'll quick to paint these things. For example, and I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to say, wrong or right exactly what happened, but it makes the MSM news, that the feds raided Caterpillar's office, corporate offices yesterday. So I'm not exactly sure, what's happening there, why they're doing it. But I believe they raided like 3 or 4 offices, including their corporate headquarters. And why I say that is because, that makes the news. But here we have a financial institution that admitted to violating, U.S. sanction laws. They admitted to funneling Mexican and Colombian drug cartels money. They've admitted to having business dealings with Cuba, Iran, Libya, and I'm talking about HSBC,
right,
and them admitting to. So here you have where they're going to pay a fine. You're going to get slapped on the wrist. They're going to pay a $2 billion fine, and there's
that's the bribe. That's the bribe.
That's
right
the bribe.
there.
Yep, exactly. And now they're discussing whether or not to keep all this the compliance report in secret, to keep it sealed and not let the public know exactly what HSBC was doing.
Man, these guys, and it's not just HSBC. We've had the exposure with UBS. UBS was caught doing the same thing. I mean, there are individuals who not only tracked the money that was being laundered out of UBS and banks like HSBC and going into the very terrorist accounts of ISIS, but then having that money recirculated, okay, and then not only recirculated, but also brought back into the country, going into the very accounts and coffers with account numbers. They've proven to CJ with account numbers, okay, going into the coffers of various politicians and re-election campaigns. So this is I mean, what else is new about the Hong Kong? What else is new about HSBC, man? Oh, British bank that goes back to like the opium days, the opium wars. I mean, come on. This is a bank whose history is steeped in narco trafficking and drug and money laundering. It's disgusting. This kind of nonsense needs to stop.
Absolutely. And then last but not least, we just want to talk just briefly around what is becoming a big distraction that's really going to boggle down things from happening in DC. And and I call it how it is. I have no party affiliation, but the GOP has got to stop with this whole Affordable Care Act, keeping the replacement bill in secret. Yesterday, Rand Paul exposed this. They announced that they were going to have a meeting to cover the replacement bill that's going to take place. And he was like running around to these offices with a printer because he wanted a copy of it to see exactly, what it entailed. He's proposed his own plan that's been backed by several representatives in the House and the Senate. I think it's been, reviewed by the Financial Oversight. I don't know the exact name of the organization, but they've approved it as well. They thought it was a very valid, replacement bill. So here now you have the GOP that's doing exactly the same damn thing that the Democrats did with we have to pass it to see what's in it bull crap.
Oh,
so they're having these secret meetings where they have this bill that's supposedly in offices. They have armed guards that are keeping other people from, getting in to actually hear what's going on. And I just want to do my part to expose this because, it got very little, traction in the media yesterday regarding, what's happening. And I hate to say it, V, but, as broken as the ACA is, that for several years, the last 16 years, the GOP have never been able to come up with any type of compromise regarding any type of health care bill. And I'm not talking about, government handouts. I'm talking about true change as far as deregulating the industry, allowing insurance companies to compete across state lines, much like the utilities, your Verizon, Sprint, and all that. There's fundamental things that we can do to make healthcare a lot better in America. We pay more than any other country for healthcare, and we have one of the worst systems that are out there. And it just really gets under my skin, V, that the GOP is doing this. It's just not right.
Because they are a bunch of certifiable grade A assholes. That's what it is, CJ. That's exactly what it is. I'm reading this article. It's a quick article right here on Becker Hospital Review. And it's unbelievable. Senator Rand Paul's leading a charge to find this supposedly top secret bill. Rand Paul's like, he's out there, tweeting out, "I've been told the House Care bill is under lock and key in a secure location, not available to me or the public." Then he's like, "I'm going to go ahead to the secure location." And my man brings a printer with him.
He did.
He brings a printer with him to go print this with the American people.
He had a dolly with a printer on top of it and cord because he was going to make a copy of that thing.
Yeah, he was not playing around. So this guy bought his own copy machine with a printer. There's Capitol Police guarding the room where the supposed bill is, and he's denied entrance. I mean, this is ridiculous, man. My thing is this: like, Donald Trump needs to get involved. He needs to put the bully pulpit of his presidency into this. I mean, I hope he does, and I hope he does very soon, because this is one of the capstones of his campaign to repeal Obamacare. How are you going to repeal Obamacare if the secret bill is out there, no one's allowed to view it? You know, it's ridiculous. And what is what is the involvement? This is what I want to know. You know, reports that the Energy and Commerce Committee is doing anything other than regular process of keeping its members up to speed on latest developments in its jurisdictions are false. Okay, simply put, the Energy and Commerce majority members and staff are continuing to discuss and refine draft legislative language on issues under our committee's jurisdiction. What the hell is the Energy and Commerce Committee doing with the healthcare bill?
Yeah, it should be in the health committee and reviewing it, and it probably falls back to as far as finance and everything. But the thing is, V, with this bill is that I don't think they have one. I think that they're still trying to draft it, and there's just the healthcare industry and the pharmaceutical industry has a huge lobbying power, right? They have a huge, probably second and third largest lobbying in Washington D.C. So what's going on behind those rooms is that, well, we can't do this because we're going to upset these people. We can't do this. So it just really irritates me that I'd almost rather them even scrap anything and just, there's so much going on right now in the world with so much legislation. So this is going to boggle them down. They're going to end up looking like the deadbeat, GOP that never gets anything accomplished in the House or the Senate, and they're going to be stuck on this for months and months and months. And I don't know if anything they won't agree on anything with this. It's just pure stupidity on their part.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And the fact of the matter is that this is how the American people will view this Congress. And I'm telling you right now, if you guys are, what they're doing is, here's what they're doing. They're trying to keep status quo because they've been lied to. What I mean by that is they've been lied to is this. They're trying to keep status quo because they've been told that Trump's going to get ousted, that he's not going to be around. They're going to, there's a move by Obama and all the other, schlep rocks that are in D.C. to get rid of Trump, to have him impeached, to have him go vamoose. That's why they're stalling, because they have it's a smoke screen. Okay, maybe that's why Trump's not quickly, focusing on it, because he has other things to focus on, like this fifth column, reprisal against him. Okay, and he's probably locked up in that, because the thing is this is all a smokescreen. They're trying to stall this guy as much as possible while they're trying to, plan his takedown. That's exactly what's going on, CJ.
Yeah, and that's the bigger picture, V, and I'm glad that you said that, because again, as far as the presidency, he's a figurehead, but the House and the Senate, they appropriate bills, they get things paid and everything. So there's only so much influence that he can do, and I'd really like to see him just completely, rid the Mitch McConnell as the Senate majority leader and Paul Ryan as the House minority. I think he needs to get true libertarians in there, get Rand Paul, some of these, really, constitutional, watchdogs, some of these people that truly understand the role of government and understand how things should be accomplished. He needs someone like that. He needs a very vocal, strong person. Paul Ryan is just he's a troll. He's corrupt. I just can't stand anymore to even hear the guy talk. And then Mitch McConnell's like a dinosaur in the Senate, right? I mean, yeah, it's just a joke. So there needs to be some public pressure to get these people to do their jobs.
Absolutely. And with that being said, CJ, we are done for the day, sir. Give out your shout outs.
Yeah, absolutely. So this afternoon for our 4 o'clock live show, we're going to have W coming on, and he always has some great intel to share with us. So I'm very excited to have him joining us this afternoon. And just to make sure, again, we're trying really hard to get our subscribers up on YouTube. So if you could help us out there with, sharing with friends, families, if you have other networks and social media that think would enjoy, hearing our programs, share the links in there. Go into some of those groups and post the links in there, and ask those networks to subscribe to our channel. We'd appreciate that.
Absolutely. With that being said, guys, I'm the Majestic Ape. He is the master of the flux capacitor, and we are over and we are out. Check out our sponsors on myfreedomnow.us. CJ, take it away, buddy.